What makes this one a little bit more unique than a lot of other games out on the market is because it does use a mechanism that I don't see in very many games, and that's the use of rotating gears, because players are going to be using these gears as part of their magical factory in order to generate mana, because each player is going to be playing as a different factory with their own unique ability, and you're going to be using your actions to enchant these gears by adding or swapping boards into the face of the gear, and even adding upgrades into the center. Something else that I really like about this game is that every time a player takes an action, everyone else at the table gets a smaller action. When it's your turn, you have 3 different actions that you can choose from. There is the produce action, which allows you to produce anything at the bottom section of each of your gears. This can allow you to do all sorts of different things, like generating mana of all sorts of different types, drawing order cards or cleaning your machine, or even gaining favor cards, which essentially act as hidden points, but there is another action that does make use of them. Like I said, you're going to be activating the icon in the bottom space of each of your gears, but if you also manage to get a bonus token into the center of your gear, you'll also be able to activate that if the outline of that icon is also touching the bottom. One caveat when you do take the produce action is that your factory will also produce a certain amount of waste, and you're going to be keeping track of this in the top right section of your board. And this is going to come into play with the petition action, because if you take that action, there's actually a bunch of different houses offered in this game that can grant players with different special abilities or effects, and you can reveal one of your favorite cards in order to petition to one of those houses in order to gain their special ability. But the thing about these houses is that none of them really like pollution, so in order to gain that ability, your exhaust needs to be below a certain threshold. And as I said, the favorite cards do act as hidden victory points at the end of the game, but if you choose to petition with one, you're going to be revealing the victory points that it grants, but then also getting a special ability out of it. Of course, in order to manage that, you can always take the plan action, which allows you to remove 2 vented mana, and it also does allow you to take 3 order cards. Like I mentioned before, whenever you take an action, everyone else at the table also gets a smaller action, and when you take the produce action, all the other players can choose between gaining a mana of any type or rotating their gears. When you take the plan action, players can either draw a random order, or remove 1 vented mana, or rotate their gears. And finally, with the petition action, players can also discard 1 favor to petition to the same house, but they only get the points for this and not the special ability. And I should mention that when you do this, you do get a little bit more points when your card is revealed. But if they can't or don't want to do that, they can also just choose to rotate their gears. But once you've performed your action, you can complete any number of order cards by spending the mana in order to fulfill those orders. And then you can rotate your gears 1 sector and then store or vent all your leftover mana. The game continues like this over a series of rounds, and then the player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins the game. And if you are interested to check this one out, you can find it in the description down below.